No, what we have here today is a, geez, I'm not even sure the year. It could be in the 60s. It's a Starcraft, a vintage boat, and it was restored by, I believe, the owner's father. And he did a very nice job. He actually redid the seats. They're covered up, but he did a nice job on these seats. I don't want to, and he's got them covered up, so I'm not going to uncover them. But yeah, you know, he went through, put a new floor in it, and new carpeting, and it looks very nice. He's got a problem with the motor, of course, and it just doesn't seem to want to start or run for any length of time. So I'm going to examine what's wrong, maybe do a health check on it, sparking compression, and go from there and see what it needs. Hopefully it just needs a tune-up, nothing major, maybe even a water pump if he needs it. He doesn't know how long it's been in there or how old the water pump is, so he's contemplating replacing that. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, it's a very nice looking boat. He's put a lot of effort into it, but he's just at his wit's end because he can't seem to find a mechanic at a marina to work on this. So he found me on Yelp, and he called me, and I said, sure, bring it on over. He lives locally, just a couple, well, maybe 15 miles away or so or less. And I said, bring it over and let me take a look at it. So he did. So he seen my YouTube video and saw me on Live to Fish Outboard Repair, and he said, yeah, I'll give it a chance. So, and I think I can fix this motor if it's as long as it has compression. We can fix everything else. So we're gonna go from there. So stay tuned. Okay, I've got my switch hooked up. You hook it up to the hot end of the where the battery comes in to the solenoid, starter solenoid, and then to the yellow lead on the same. So just got to pull the trigger. I've got the key on and the ignition, and we'll see if we got spark. Hopefully it'll show up in this bright sun, but all right, I don't see much of anything there on the bottom cylinder. But it does want to fire. It does want to fire. It's just too bright out here. I'm going to have to get some shade. Do something to get some shade out here. Let me think here. If I can. Okay, you can't really see the spark checkers, but maybe you can see spark coming off of the actual spark plug. So we'll see. Ignition is on, but I'm gonna just crank the engine and see what our compression is. And we've got about 120, just slightly over, so that's good. 120 on the top cylinder. Excellent. Okay, here's cylinder number 2, or the bottom one. Looks like, or maybe 115. Yeah, I was a little parallaxed to that. So, but 115. So it's only about 5 pounds different. Let's see. Yeah, it might have went up to 120. There it goes. Okay, so it went to 120. They're both even, 120. So, okay, that's great. Okay, so the next step, since I don't have spark and it's on this lower coil, I'll remove the lower coil. Or at least I'll check the resistances on the coil. Yeah, they're both pretty hot, so I don't know if they were cold to start, but boy, they're both hot. So, but I know I'm not getting any spark out of that lower one. It could be the wire, it could be the coil. So I'm going to check the resistances on the primary and secondary circuit. The primary winding is the small winding on the coil, and the secondary is the large one going to the spark plug. So we'll check that with resistance and see what we have.
Both coils are hot, so they're both trying to perform. I don't know. That's what this insulation's for. Keep the heat from transferring to the building. So blue is positive. White, actually in the book, in the manual, it says it's brown. So the brown wire is over here. So this is it's almost too hot to touch. So blue is positive. I'm going to mark that with a blue marker. So I know which lead it came off of.
Okay, these are the two coils off the boat, off this 45 horse Chrysler, and the book says, it talks about having a different kind of instrument, but it's basically a voltometer, and it says the meter resistance reading should be for the primary circuit 2.5 to 3 ohms. If the readings are high or low, replace the coil. Turn the selector knob off, remove the test leads, and then check the coil continuity on the secondary circuit, which would be 13,500 to 1,500 ohms. Or I'm sorry, 13,500 to 15,000 ohms. on the top of the coil continuity scale. And again, if it's low or high, you got to replace it. You're supposed to replace it. So if I follow the directions here, which should be pretty simple, I'm going to put my voltometer at 200 on the 200 setting, because that's as low as the setting I can go. And I'm looking for the primary circuit, and the primary circuit should be across both of these leads. So here and here, and see what I get. Looks like I'm getting, well, it's varying, but let's see. Maybe I gotta secure that a little better. Okay, there we go. I got a little pressure on it. 3.6 is what I'm getting, and it says the maximum is 3.0. So technically, that primary circuit is no good. Now, the next one, we'll do the same thing, and I get absolutely no reading. And this must have been the bottom coil, which I was getting absolutely no spark at all. But the top one I was, and it's still out of spec on the primary. .6. 3.0 is the upper limit. Now, if I check the secondary circuit like this, I need to put it on 20,000 ohms, and I'm getting 8,370 ohms. And on this coil, I'm getting 8,110 ohms, okay? So the spec is, again, 13,500 to 15,000 ohms. So it's way under the requirement, and it says, if the readings are high or low, replace the coil. So, you know, basically both of these coils are no good, and under high load, they probably would fail. And not only that, when I was taking it apart, I noticed that these were overly tightened or something, because the posts are they're kind of loose in there, and it was very hard to get those nuts off, but it's cracked. Cracked there, and it's cracked here. And you can see the posts are not even, they're kind of cattywampus. So I'm just going to say that both of these coils are no good. We're going to have to get new coils and go from there. So we'll get those on order as soon as possible. Very expensive. They're about $200+ a piece. So it's unfortunate, but that's what that is. So anyway, stay tuned, and we'll get them on order, get them installed, and we'll be back at it again. Okay, I just received a new coil in the mail on the 200 ohm scale. That's ohms, that's 200. We had it on 20,000 for the secondary circuit. The primary is going to be 2.5 to 3 ohms. And that's checking the terminals on each side here. And I'm showing 3.2. Let me get a good connection on this. Yep, 3.2 ohms. Now, this is supposed to be brand new, and of course, the book says the meter resistance should be 2.5 to 3.0 ohms. If readings are high or low, replace the coil. Okay, so, and again, this is the primary terminal. So I don't know why I'm getting 3.2 on a brand new coil, but anyway, let's try the secondary coil. We'll put it to 20 thousandths. 20,000 is the scale for ohms. That's resistance. And we just got to touch the lead here into the secondary circuit. I'm reading about 14,560 ohms. And that's on this lead here. So we can move it to this side. Okay, so I moved it to the negative lead. The last one I did was the positive side. This is the negative. And we're going to check it again. And again, we've got 14,560 ohms. So that's good. That passes the test because, again, 13,500 to 15,000 ohms is what's expected to be a good coil for the secondary circuit. So anyway, this does, on the primary, it seems to be a little high, 3.2, but maybe the meter's off a little bit. And I'm getting it on both sides of the coil, which I'm supposed to. So I'm going to call that good. We're going to use it. It's the brand new one, so it should be good. Maybe my meter's a little off. I don't know. But anyway, when the next coil comes in, we need two. So the next one comes in, I'll check it as well. Okay, while I'm at it, I just thought I'd show you what the contents of the box that I received today for this 45 horse. This is the impeller. It's Sierra part number 18-45003. Replaces Force 47-F4-33065-2. And it says that it fits between 35, 45, and 55 horsepower from 1974 to 1980. So, okay, so we've got a water pump impeller. We've got, these are the point sets. They should be the same part number, F12329-2. And we have the condensers. That's good. So we can do a good tune-up on this. Again, all of these parts came in from marineengine.com. And they do not sponsor me, but I do recommend a lot of times that people purchase the products through them because I never have an issue. They always provide the correct part number and they ship it timely. So anyway, I just thought I'd mention it. And the coil as well came from marineengine.com. But we're waiting for the next one to arrive. I think the owner purchased another coil through another, I think through eBay. But so we're waiting on that one. And before I begin any more tune-up procedure here, I'm going to wait for the next coil to arrive and check it, make sure that it's functioning properly. So stay tuned. Okay, this is the brand new coil that came in the mail today. Just got it in. I just want to verify that the ohm settings are correct. Now the manual again says that the ohms reading should be between 13,500 ohms and 15,000 ohms on the secondary circuit. That you take your red or positive lead and you touch the inside there. And I've got it on the 20,000 ohms reading, which is the proper scale. And that would be right here in ohms, 20,000 or 20K. So when I touch this lead here, I've got it, the ground to the grounded lead or positive side of the terminal. The other side is ground. I should be reading, again, 13,500 ohms or up to 15,000 ohms. And this is giving me about 580 ohms. And that's unacceptable. That's completely unacceptable. This is not the correct number to get. So, and it was labeled with this part number, which is the correct part number, according to the manual. So again, 580 ohms. That's all I'm getting. Now, when I move this to the other side, I get the identical number. Let's see what happens. Okay, almost identical, 570 ohms. So, okay, so in my opinion, this coil is bad. I mean, let's try the primary winding, which would be here and here. And the spec for that is 2.5 to 3 ohms. And I'm getting 0.4 ohms. That's pretty much out of spec. And this coil doesn't even look the same as the original one that was purchased, or the other one that was purchased, the first one that came in the mail. It didn't have these ribs, and it certainly didn't have this tape or whatever this is around here. It looks like a tape of some sort. So I'm not confident that this coil is any good. So I've contacted marineengine.com, and I've told them my dilemma, and they're going to contact the owner, and because he purchased this online, and they're going to allow him to return this, and we'll get another one on order. So yeah, the first one that came in was right at around 14,500 ohms on the secondary circuit, and it was around 3.2 ohms on the primary, and 2.5 to 3 is a spec. But when I zeroed out when I touched the leads on my together on my voltmeter, you're supposed to get 0, and I had like 0.2. For some reason, I couldn't zero it, so it's just error in the meter. But now it's zeroing out. Let's go to the lowest scale, see what happens when I touch them together. See, I'm getting 0.1. 0.1, 0.2 I was getting before, 0.2, and that's why. So that other coil would be at 3 if it was 0.2. 3 ohms on the primary, so that means that coil was okay, but this one is definitely not giving the correct response that we need here. So it's not giving us the correct values. So this is going back to marineengine.com. I'm going to return it, and hopefully we can get another one on order. So stand by. Okay, I'm still waiting on the coil to arrive for this 45 Chrysler. So I'm going to go into the lower unit, just replace the water pump impeller for now, so I can get that out of the way. Once I get that done, then hopefully that coil will arrive, and I can test this in the barrel. So that's the plan today. So stay tuned for that. So. Okay, now what's kind of important here is the shift shaft is right in there, and it has a pin and a cotter pin holding it. I believe it's a cotter pin, but there is a pin that goes through the shaft. Yeah, there's a cotter pin in there, and that's got to come off. So that's a little tricky. Very tiny cotter pin, and once you get the cotter pin out, then you can pull the pin out that's holding the shift shaft together. And when you do that, this is going to drop completely out. So. Yeah, and I really hate this design. Let's see. I wonder if I could get a pick in there. Kind of force it out and straighten it as I do it. Yeah, that seems to be working. Just don't want, oh, yeah, I did, I just lost it. Okay, it fell down inside, but I think I can get it. This should come out of here now. Oh, the pin. You gotta get the pin. Gotta force the pin out. Push it out on this side. On the opposite side you're seeing. There it is. There's the pin. Just got to get the recover the cotter pin. Oh, okay. And there it came. All right. Yeah, found the cotter pin. There she is. Okay, let's see what we got here. We've got our seal at the spline. Okay, that's looks everything looks like it's intact. Not sure what this is. Maybe it's just gunk in there, I don't know. It could be a seal of some sort. I don't know what that is. Nasty crap from the lake. It's just around the shift shaft. It just looks like crud. I'm gonna dump this out. Just trying to clean this shift shaft up a little bit. Definitely got this carbon, it looks like. Maybe from the exhaust, I don't know. Or mud, I don't know, it's just black, very black mud. I might turn this around because I want to check the oil that's in the lower unit and see if there's any water coming out. See if we have water intrusion. I'll focus you in on this plug. And we'll see what comes out here. Well, oil, that's good. That's very good. No water, so that means the seals are probably good. So that's very good, though. There's no signs of water. Okay, now I'm hitting behind it right here. It is moving, so I can see the marks where it was, so I can put it back where it was. I can see the splines now, so there it is. Yeah, okay. Whew. Just got these 4 bolts to pull out. I don't see any complications there. Okay, it's in forward gear, so we're going to leave it in forward gear. That's how we had to get the pin out. We had to put it in forward gear to drop the lower unit down just to expose this shift shaft pin. Okay. Okay. Slight groove in the base plate, but nothing really horrible. Now, there's our water pump impeller. Now, can't really tell yet. I'm going to pull that out of there, see what it looks like. Definitely got some wear on it, and it is cracked. There are some cracks here, so this is a good thing that we've done this. I don't know if you can focus in here. But let me see if I can show you that. You can see that there's cracks right in there. It's dry rotted. It's been in there a while. I mean, it doesn't look horribly bad, but definitely time to replace it. So it's a good thing the owner wanted to do this, because that's an insurance that won't overheat. There's another one. Definitely got some cracking going on there, some grooves. So I mean, it's taken a set, and when they take a set like that too, you know, it's got some elasticity. But I wouldn't trust it again. I'd just pitch it and throw in a new one. So we're going to do that today. The pump housing itself looks okay. It's a little pitted. But I can reuse that. I mean, not horrible. It's got a groove in it too, but it'll work. And boy, these parts are probably expensive because they're hard to find. So I'll pull the base plate out. It is glued down. Okay, there is a Woodruff key on here, but it's really just a pin. You can see the pin. Actually, this drive shaft pulls right out of here. Some of these models they pull right out. Just like that. There's a seal down below. So no worries there. I really didn't have to take that off of there, but I'll put it back on. That when you can pull the shaft out, you don't need to pull this off. But I'll use a socket and just put that back on. Okay. Now they use some sort of silicone to seal that base plate down. I think what I'll do is I'll tap these threads on these bolt holes and clean them up. Yeah, but that base plate doesn't look bad. Not at all. Okay. So just so you can see down in there what this looks like. This is the shift shaft. Shift shaft seal goes down in here. There's a seal here for the bearing. Underneath that, the seal is the bearing for the drive shaft. So I think we're okay. I mean, the way the oil looked pretty clean. It was dirty, but I mean, it didn't have water in it, is what I mean. It looked a little dirty, but the owner hasn't said for me to change it, so I'd have to contact him and see if he wants me to actually change the oil in it. But if I do that, then I could check, I could pressure test it. But right now I'm just going to put the pump in and see how that goes. But I've got to clean these parts first. Okay, I just wanted to show you, this is the Sierra replacement for that pump impeller 18-45003. It says replaces force47-F43365-2, and it says fits 35, 45, and 55 horsepower from 1974 to 1980. So this is our part. And to compare it, compare this with this, it looks very, yeah, identical. So, okay. Okay, so I cleaned up all the surfaces here. I put down some aviation sealer, Permatex aviation gasket sealer maker under the base plate, and got the pin back in. I also lubricated the pump, cleaned the pump surfaces, and put the new impeller in. So I just got to line the impeller up now with the pin. Just like that. Just got to put the bolts in and I'm good to go. Put everything back together. Put all my parts back on. Put the bolts in. Okay. Now for each one of these bolts, I'm gonna lace it with also with the aviation sealer. This gasket sealer. It's aviation Permatex. I think it's called number 3, but it says Permatex aviation forma gasket sealant liquid. So this is. This works very well for bolts and gaskets and such, for water pumps and other water applications. So I chased all these bolts with a tool and die tap set anyway, and clean up the bolts, tap the holes so that they go in very nice and easy. And once they start, there they go.
I can put these in by hand pretty much most of the way. I'm just snugging these down. Not torquing them yet. Okay, so I got them all torqued down at 6 pounds, or I'm sorry, 6 foot-pounds. So that should be ready to go, except for my little spacer on the top there. I've got to put that back on. Now, to do that, I'm thinking, saw it or not? Oh, you didn't see me do it. Okay, well, sorry folks, I thought you were in the camera. I just, I started out using a socket, but the socket wasn't deep enough. It restricts it right about here, right about action. All right, anyway, I got this on. Sorry about that, folks. This looks fairly clean. The spline, I'm just going to wipe it down. It doesn't have a whole lot of built-up crud in it. I'll use Mercury's 24C with PTFE. In a lot of cases, you don't want to get grease on the very top of the drive shaft. That can actually change the dimensions on some motors. It can change the dimension internally and cause damage to the power head. I just dropped my little rubber boot. There it is. Okay. And now that lower unit is ready to be installed. Alright, now that we're in the upright position, I'm just going to, I've already lubricated everything, pump is in, shouldn't be a problem now. That part's done. So I'm going to install this back into the lower unit, and then start working possibly on the motor itself. after I get this in, but I'm still waiting on the coil, so there's really no point in doing much until that comes. So okay, so I've got one bolt holding it here. Now hopefully I can get this cotter pin back in, and this retaining pin and cotter pin. What a pain in the butt. Crappiest doggone design I've ever seen. Okay, I got the pin in. This is actually in reverse. The throttle is in forward, so I've got to figure out how to straighten that out. But I think once I push this up, this is going to go into at least neutral. So, and maybe even forward gear once I close this gap. So I think that shift shaft will push the shift rod down and engage those forward gears. It's kind of a pain in the butt. This whole design, I don't know. It's difficult, to say the least. Now I got to see that pin is coming through all the way. See the holes for I gotta turn the pin to face the holes so I can see them. There. Wow, what a chore. Mercury has, I think, the best shift shaft design out of all of them. But who am I to say? In. Well, hopefully you can see it. You can just barely make out that cotter pin now. Just the head of it's right here, and I got it through the hole. Now I just got to bend it. I wonder, now that I got that pin in there, I can probably release this. I can probably release the bolt and let it drop down a little further. Since it's not going to fall out. Not with a pin in there. Okay. The pin is now supporting it with the cotter pin as well. So I just got to expand that cotter pin so I don't have any issues with that pin falling out. I wish I could get my hands in there. All right, now just want to make sure my water tube is still connected up in there. Can't see it. Yeah, it appears to be. Okay. Now, Okay, now it's in forward gear, and the boat is in forward gear. So that's where I wanted. That's what I thought would happen. Well, it was. Yeah, there it goes. Okay. All right, she's spinning in forward as soon as I shoved it up in there. That's it. Now I'm going to shift it to neutral. Hopefully it went into neutral. Well, no. Well, it's not spinning, but it's man, there it is. But why is it locking? That's weird. Have to take it apart again. Okay, that's in reverse, and that's spinning in reverse. Okay. That's neutral. And that, there we go. That's in neutral. Okay, good. Good, good, good. That's neutral. All right, now we're going forward. Yep, she's spinning in forward. There it is. She's locked in forward. Okay, good deal. So, that's it. Okay, the customer actually wanted me to change the gear lube in this, and I did check it, but I didn't top it off or anything, and this is all the oil I got out of it. Very little. So it's a good thing he wanted me to do that. Also, I usually do that as a routine, but I'm kind of on a budget, so, and so are they. Okay, so this is, I've got 15, maybe 15 and a half, almost 16 pounds of pressure, and it's been hanging here for, yeah, maybe 5-10 minutes. So I'm going to let this hang a little longer, and I'll come back. So I'm pressure testing it right now. I don't see any leaks, which is great. It means the seals were good, which I expected that anyway because I didn't see any water intrusion when I pulled out the oil plug. I didn't see any water come out. So that told me the oil looked pretty good, but there's very little in there. So it's very strange why it would have such a little amount of oil in it. But unless it leaked out or somebody, you know, I know I lost some oil when I opened it to test it, but boy, I didn't lose that much. And that's got to take probably a quart anyway, half a quart or quart. So maybe more. So I don't know. I know that Mercury over there takes probably 2 quarts. So that big Mercury. So I mean, this is a smaller motor, but you know, it's anyway. I'll change the oil once I determine that there's no leaks, and I'll be happy with that. I'm going to come back after maybe in an hour, and then after that, I'll do a vacuum test and see if if it you know, pressure is so you don't lose oil, and vacuum is so that you don't get water intrusion. So that's my understanding. So this is why I do this. And if the seals are good, and he won't have any issues. So it looks the same. So we haven't so far. So I'm going to let that just kind of
dangle at the angle and see what happens. Oh yeah, and by the way, I wanted to exercise the drive shaft by turning it, and it is in neutral. So if I exercise this shaft here as well, and I don't see any change, that's a good sign. Still about 15.5 pounds or so, 15, at least 15. I said around 15, but it went over slightly, so it's still slightly over 15 pounds. And I'll come back now, and then in that hour, and then make sure I take a look at that again. So I'll be back. Okay, I left this at 8:40 a.m. It is now 9:40 a.m. It's been exactly 1 hour, and you can see it hasn't budged, not even half a pound. So I think we're good. This is got good pressure. Pressure test passes, so we'll go to vacuum now. Okay, it's at minus 15 or 15 inches of mercury, which is a negative pressure. So I'll let that sit for another hour, and we'll come back and we'll see where it stands. All right. Again, I'm going to exercise the shaft both directions. That's the prop shaft. No change. And also the flywheel. I'll turn that. And no change. So far so good. So the time right now is 8:42 a.m. I'll come back, or 9:42 a.m. I'm going to come back at 10:42, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so it's been about another hour, and I'm coming back to see the gauge and see if we had lost any vacuum. And of course, no, we did not. So I'm thinking this is good. We were all nice and sealed up. This is ready for gear oil to be put back in. And that part of it, the lower unit, is complete. So on to the next thing. Okay, that's it for the lower unit. The next will be the coil. Hopefully it's coming in the mail today. I can get back on the ignition system where I can put the coils back in and give this a test run. If I can get it started and it seems to run okay on both cylinders, then I can just give it a tune-up with new spark plugs and new points. So I'll be pulling the flywheel off and putting new points in and setting those points and condenser